Welcome to Glitter and Chaos. I'm your host, Caitlin Mead, licensed clinical professional counselor and registered play therapist.
And I'm Kaylee Patton-Dieters, and I'm a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist.
Hope everyone's doing well today and just enjoying the fall-ish weather. Kansas has been
all over the place.
All
over the place.
Yep.
It was really nice this weekend. Now it's a little chillier, but it's still not.
Yeah, what was it like last weekend? We were like 17 degrees.
Was it? Yeah, I guess in the mornings.
Yeah.
It was really.
Yeah, nah.
It's November. It needs to be cooler.
Cooler, but not like winter.
I'm ready.
I'm not. not.
I'm ready.
Not anywhere near ready at this point. So we hope you enjoyed our last couple of episodes. I know we've talked about some pretty heavy stuff. So today we were going to hone in on imposter syndrome and what that's like for us and for you.
And how it can show up maybe in other aspects as well. And that's the thing with imposter syndrome is that sometimes you don't even know you're in it until you're in it.
Right.
You don't have you have some external cues, but you don't have a lot of internal cues that is what you're experiencing. And that, I think, is the hardest part about imposter syndrome. And so imposter syndrome is where you feel like you are this imposter in this field, environment, room, that someone's going to figure you out that you know nothing.
That you're a fraud.
Yeah, that you don't have any clue as to what you're doing. And then the second piece of that is, despite evidence to suggest you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, you know you have knowledge on this topic and or discussion piece. And so that's where imposter syndrome is really hard, is because your own brain is basically telling you, nah, you don't know anything. You don't know anything, and you're just flying by the seat of your pants. Somebody's going to find you out, and when they do, it's going to be bad. But that's your own brain just being a not so very nice thing.
Yeah. I mean, your brain's attacking itself, essentially. Like and like Kaylee said, you have all this evidence to prove. And whether that's a degree, whether that is experience in the field, whether that is just research that you've done on the topic, or whether it's just life experience in general, whatever the case may be, you have evidence to prove that you know what you're doing, or you know what you're talking about, or what have you. And then you're in this situation, and logically you know that you know this stuff, but your brain is like, nah, you don't know. Like, you're a fraud. They're going to figure you out. Or
that you don't belong there either.
Or that you don't belong. Yeah. And that, I think, is a feeling that we all deal with.
Yes.
That, and not just the imposter syndrome part, but the feeling of not belonging. And I think that's a human fear that, I think a lot of us don't, some people will not acknowledge. Like, some people have this air of confidence where it's like, yeah, I belong everywhere, which is great. But I think all of us to some degree have this fear of, I don't fit in. I don't belong. And I think it's human nature to always want to fit in, to always want to belong. And if somebody's telling you they don't want to fit in and they don't want to belong, then they're lying to you, because I feel like that's just human nature. We want community. And so going into the imposter syndrome part of it, Kaylee and I have talked about this. It came up in conversation because I think I was talking to a friend about it, and she was dealing with it. And then Kaylee and I were talking about it and how we often deal with it, even in this field. And I've often said, I'm like, people pay me like to do this job. And sometimes I feel like I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. And I know that that's not the case. Like, so if any of my clients or anybody's listening, I know what I'm doing.
What she's doing.
My brain attacks itself. And we get to that point of do I though?
Yeah. And I kind of have a different piece of it. Part of it's like, do I know what I'm doing? And it's like, well, yeah, I know I've done this and done that. But my piece always goes to, is there something else out there that I don't know about? Is that one piece that's just going to unravel everything because I don't know that one piece? And I think that speaks a little bit to the perfectionism that I tend to kind of run into a lot. Is I want to research something to the hilt. I want to be informed. I want to know XYZ and, all the plans throughout the entire alphabet just in case. Well, if I come across this, then I can pivot here. Well, if I come across this, then I can pivot here. And so it's like, if I don't know this one thing, then it's all going to unravel and I'm going to be exposed because I don't know this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that saying it out loud is preposterous because you
Right.
can't know everything. You can't plan for everything. Now, you can mitigate as many extraneous variables as you can, but you cannot control everything. And then that's when I feel it the most. The imposter syndrome is when I feel like I don't know what I would say a lot about a certain thing, especially going into different environments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to touch on that too, like, I think when we don't know and when we don't feel like we're well equipped, sometimes I think we overcompensate.
Mm.
And then that makes us feel even more insecure.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point, I guess the whole point of all of this is the imposter syndrome is this overall feeling of insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ramps up that anxiety. And so that was one of the things we looked at too, is what happens when you experience imposter syndrome. We've given you the definition now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the first part of this. The second part is what happens when you experience it. Well, I know, like, in my personal life, it's not just in my job, it's in social situations.
Mm-hmm.
It's in, in many different things. But then it's that feeling afterwards or in the midst of it of anxiety of, I am going to be found out, or,
Mm-hmm.
Just feeling unease and
Mm-hmm.
feeling uncomfortable and not feeling confident in my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
And then that causes you to really go into some self-doubt, which we're going to do a whole different podcast on self-doubt, because I think that's a whole nother rabbit hole and like you can go down.
But they do feed off of each other. Yes.
But they feed off of one another. And so, today is about, identifying what imposter syndrome is, what you experience when you have imposter syndrome, and then how do you combat that?
Mm-hmm.
Because what's essentially happening is your brain is tricking you into, you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you then have to trick your brain again to
good old bait and switch.
Right. To like challenge those negative cognitions and be like, wait, time out. Like, we do know what we're doing. And again, I'm not talking about like just the professional, but like in any situation, you're like, I do know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I am confident. I am competent in the things that I'm doing. And how do I address that? And how do I not let this win? How do I not let this keep me from doing things? Because I think sometimes imposter syndrome often holds us back.
Yeah.
It often prevents us from doing things that we know we're capable of doing, for that fear of, I don't want to fail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be found out. Or I don't want to make a fool of myself. Like, I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yes, the embarrassment, that vulnerability.
Yes.
It's the embarrassment and the vulnerability that I think are the biggest ones that people want to avoid, because we've been taught that vulnerability is bad.
Right.
That's when we get taken advantage of. That's when we show a part of ourselves, and that allows us to either be accepted or rejected. And that's an incredibly vulnerable and, sensitive, position to be in. And so when you're experiencing those two things, not only is your brain sometimes attacking you, but your body's going into overdrive too.
Right.
And not everybody will experience the same bodily sensations that others will. Like, so for example, some people may kind of have what you would consider a panic attack like symptoms without having the panic attack piece, but you may have like an increased heart rate, your hands may, kind of get tingly, or you may get a little bit restless. Others may just completely shut down and freeze to where it looks like they're almost immobile, because it's your just body is trying to protect itself from whatever threat that it is perceiving at that point. Now, we understand that a group full of people that maybe you're trying to, get to know or just kind of be around is not usually a threat, but sometimes your brain interprets that, especially if you already don't feel like you belong in this group or in this environment for whatever reason, or you're concerned about them finding you out that you're not part of this in any sort of way. And so sometimes that's hard. You're not only battling your brain, but you're also trying to soothe and calm your body as well.
Well, you go into that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
Yes.
And that's where we go into that, like you said, the panic attack, or the like, and like Kaylee's talking about, you're not only focused on how do I prove myself, but how do I also calm myself down,
Yes,
and keep myself from not only being embarrassed by if they find me out, but not embarrassing myself by having a freak out or a freeze moment or overcompensating or, you know, whatever it is. Because I think we go into self-preservation mode at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Like our nervous system, not only is our brain attacking ourselves, but now our nervous system is attacking ourselves. And
it's like, yo, you need to get out of here.
Right.
This is way too much now.
Like this is overstimulation. I cannot handle it. Like there's this saying, I was like, I came, I saw, I had anxiety, I left. Like it's like that situation. And I think it's literally at that point where that's again where people get to a point where they're just like, I'm not even going to try. Or stuff that they've done for a good majority of their lives, now all of a sudden they've lost complete confidence in what they're doing. And I think we see that in our field sometimes. Because, you know, as therapists, like our field is ever evolving. It's never, it's never a, you get complacent. This is where you are content. You've learned all you can learn. This is it. It's not that way. It's definitely I come in every day and it's different. There's new research on things. There's new statistics on things. There's new trainings on things. It's just constantly changing. And I think sometimes that's why there's imposter syndrome, because it's not the same.
Yeah.
And so like from when we were in graduate school,
things have changed considerably since then.
Yes. And so like, you come out of graduate school and you're this newbie and you're like, I am going to get sued. Like I'm going to get
all the bad things
all the
they
bad
warned us
things
about.
are going to happen. And then just as you get your feet underneath you and you feel like, okay, I got this. Here comes another manual. Like, let me change it again.
Yep.
And the same goes like when you're put in new situations or changing jobs. Like not just on a therapist level, but like, let's say you go from one job that you've been at for years to another job that might be in the same related field, but it's still new content. It's still a new environment. It's new people. And you're still having to pick up and learn things because it's not the same structure. And it's not the same, you know, computer system. And it's not the same, you know, yada, yada, yada. And you catch yourself questioning yourself. What if I'm not good enough? What if they made a mistake in hiring me? What if, you know, what if they find out that I have no clue what I'm doing, but you do know what you're doing? And you have to give yourself grace. And you have to figure out, like, that's, again, kind of back to challenging those negative cognitions.
Yes.
And figuring out what's the proof.
And what is the imposter syndrome attacking? So imposter syndrome is very insidious because it attacks things that are very core to your character and core to your like values.
Yes.
And that's what it goes after.
Yes.
And so you're left to question, how do I interact? Like, where do I even start? How do I challenge this thought when it's attacking something that's so vital to my core as a person of, what do I do with it?
And you're a hard worker and like all of those things. Yeah.
Like Caitlin was saying, it's challenging those thoughts. And that's great once we can get to that level. But as we know with, you know, the brain and how it reacts when it's flooded, we got to get our body calm before we can get the brain to stop thinking it's on fire. And so
floating down a river in a dumpster fire.
Yes, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Yep.
But we have to be able to calm the body. And so this is where like I really push sensory work.
Yep.
And I love sensory work because it's something that you can have with you at any point in time, whether that is having something that you can hold in your hands, like a paper clip or like a clicky pen, or having some music, any sort of the senses. There's 8 sensory systems. You can utilize and leverage all of them. And
I'm still tripping on the fact that there's 8. Like, I am totally like, yeah, let's just focus on the 5 senses. And then this lady swings in here like, hey, there's 8. And I'm like,
3 extra ones.
When did the other 3 get involved
The
here?
3 have always been there. They're just not as well known because they're somewhat harder to say. Vestibular, proprioceptive, and interoceptive.
Yep. Nope.
They're a little
Taste,
harder to...
touch.
They don't roll off the tongue like the big 5 do.
Taste, touch, see, hear, smell.
Yes. And they all have larger names, but those are the ones that we'll go with today. Like tactile. And gustatory.
I can't.
Olfactory.
Big words.
They make me happy.
Break it down Barney style, okay? Break it down Barney style.
It's fine. But we really have to calm the body. And whether that is, like I said, sensory work, there are other things that you can do too. Walking, pacing, all of those can be, taking a break, just stepping outside and taking a large inhale of air could be helpful. I mean,
I do a lot of mindfulness work too. I dislike the word mindfulness. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. In my own personal work, when I've been told I need to be mindful, I despise that word. And so I like to use the word marinate. I marinate in my thoughts, but not to the point of, and in this situation, it's not necessarily a great thing. And so when I'm talking about being mindful or marinating, it's being present in the moment and being able to recognize. And that's where I do pull in with what Kaylee's talking about is the 5 senses of being mindful of, I am here. I am in this room. I am okay. I am present. What are
affirmations,
the positive affirmations. What can I find something of this color in this room? Can I go get a drink of water, focusing on the cold water? Can I go listen to a favorite song?
Can I recite the steps of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich from memory? Just anything you can do that will break and snap that diatribe of process, that of mind or thought process that is just attacking you.
Well, I call that thought process like a runaway train.
Yeah.
And when you think about the runaway train, you think about all of the cars, like it's just going and going and going. And when your brain is attacking itself, you have all of these negative thoughts on each car. And before you can even stop one, the next one is just coming. And in order to stop that train, we have to stop the body from being in overdrive, which is where we do focus, I think, a lot on the physical stuff, which is stepping outside, doing things that are going to help us to kind of take that deep breath, whether internally, externally, whatever, and go, okay, wait a second, I am okay.
Yes.
I am it's almost like a hypothetical ice, like bucket of cold water being dumped on you and being like, okay, wait, time out. Like I'm fine. Because you've got to break. You've got to have that pause. And we often talk about like practicing the pause, but like you've got to do something that snaps you out of it.
Centers somehow.
Yeah. Before you can challenge the thought. Because I think what we do know is trying to challenge a thought in the middle of a runaway train. Like that train's just going to blow right through that thought. Like that's not, it's not going to help in any way, shape, or form. And there's some great apps out there that can help. Like there's the Calm app. There's the Headspace app.
Hashtag not sponsored.
No, not sponsored. Correct. But like these are things that we've both used.
We use them. We recommend them to clients. We have a lot of great options that are both paid and unpaid. Right. There are ways that you can definitely still get the content without paying any money whatsoever.
Yes.
And I like finding those options because usually those are the most attainable by most people.
Yes.
But another one is like with as you were talking about like centering and, challenging those thoughts, I was thinking about the affirmations affirmations are good, but they have to work for you in the moment. So reciting
they don't for everybody.
Yeah. And they don't. So like reciting the same, like, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. That may not seem realistic in the moment. And so it's finding what in the moment is calming to you and what actually fits.
And that's what I think what we're talking about too, is these suggestions don't work for everybody.
No.
And it's not always going to work every single time. And so it's finding kind of like a toolbox of ones that work and having them at your disposal. Yes. And so, Kaylee talks about the paperclip or talks about those things. some of the things that we suggest often to people is always carrying something like in your pocket or in your purse or whatever you have that's small that you can reach for. The other thing too is recognizing it comes with practice.
Yes.
A lot of times people will be like, well, it didn't work. Okay, well, you tried it one time.
And maybe it didn't work for that particular situation.
Right.
That doesn't mean we completely abandon ship and never use it again.
Right. So we have to use it multiple times in a lot of different ways. And maybe that situation wasn't appropriate. Maybe you can't just get up and walk out and go for a walk.
Yes.
But there are different situations for different skills. The whole point that we're making is there's got to be a way to center your body before we can start working on the brain.
Yes. I was also kind of thinking about like radical acceptance. And I know that that is a hot button word, a few words there, because a lot of people don't like it. Some people really do like it.
I hate it.
I tend to like it. I tend to like it because it releases the responsibility of that moment in some ways for me. So like, for example, when I'm having a morning where just nothing's going right, I spill my coffee, then I have to remake it, or my smoothie just explodes all over the table, and then I'm running late to open up the clinic, and then as I'm walking into the door, I trip over my own self and almost fall, and then I'm trying to get out to the door to turn on the lights so the clients can come in, and I sit down and I just go, and sometimes my clients are like, have you had a morning? And I was like, I have had a morning, but it can only go up from here. Because I'm releasing that emotion of everything's horrible, everything's bad, and trying to find a way to not let it affect my entire day. This is sometimes all before 8 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes, Murphy's Law happens. And then, so it's just anything wrong that can happen will happen. And so it's like, you know what? I'm just going to accept that it's going to be one of those days today. And that's an example of radical acceptance, because then it takes the responsibility off of me trying to actively make this day better. And then when it doesn't work, then I get mad at myself, or I get mad in general, and then it just kind of spoils my whole day.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to be positive Pollyanna afterwards. Like, this day's going to be all rainbows and sunshines. I'm not saying you have to do that. But what I'm saying is that you can release that moment of that pressure of trying to make everything better right then and there.
And I think Kaylee brings up a good point. Like, it is very freeing. I think where I struggle with it is that I call it sitting in the uncomfortable. It becomes uncomfortable for me in the fact that I can't control it. And so radical acceptance is something that I am currently practicing and trying to work on. But, when we talk about the imposter syndrome too, we talk about that it's uncomfortable. Like, it's an uncomfortable feeling. And so it's a lot of times it's writing out, recognizing that this sucks. And it's okay for it to suck.
Yeah.
We embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. I love that. Embrace the suck.
That goes to that radical acceptance. And so now that we've talked about, okay, now we've splashed the cold water on our brains. We've said, okay, yo, stop. Like, you've gone down this rabbit hole. We need you to come right back out. Now we need to chill. We need to start challenging those thoughts. This is where we get into the logic piece of it, which is, what evidence do I have? And I often present this to people, and I present it to myself. I want concrete proof that I am not good at this. Like, if you're going to sit here and tell me if my brain is going to sit here and tell me that I am not good at this, I need concrete proof. Like, you stick me in a courtroom on a witness stand and you tell me
thoughts on trial.
Like, I don't just mean, well, I think you did that. No, like, I need facts. Like, you're going to prosecute me. My brain's going to prosecute itself. I better have hard evidence. 10 times out of 10, there's no hard evidence. And that's the point that I'm making, is that there needs to be, like, when you can get to that point and you can point out, I don't have evidence to prove that I'm not capable of this, but I have all of this evidence to prove that I am capable of this. That is when the brain stops being on fire.
Or at least, goes down
Simmers.
To smolder.
Yeah. Smolder. I like the smolder.
I think that's the right word.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it ever, like, completely goes away.
No.
Not in the moment.
And part of me feels like maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I think, and bear with me on that, I think when we become complacent.
I think it's realistic.
Yes. Because when we become complacent,
Mm-hmm.
then bad things happen. Or not necessarily bad things, but like we stop growing.
I think it's leaning too far into the idealism of it versus what could realistically be in the moment. Like, for example, when I talk with clients, I'm like, okay, we're going to rate where you're at right now, like with anxiety. Okay, when you think about the situation, where are you at? An 8. Okay, how can realistically get down to like a 6? Talk about identify different things to get down to a 6. Are we able to get down to a 4 or 5? And if they say no, I don't think that would be possible. Okay, then let's reasonably figure out how we can get to a 6, because then that's realistic for that situation.
Right.
But if we ideally, well, I'd like to get down to 0, that would be great ideally, but ideal and realism don't often interlap or, have an exchange there. So we have to look at realism a little bit more than idealism. Idealism has its places, do not get me wrong, but we can hope that we can get lower. But sometimes we have to have a benchmark to go for to realize, no, I did decrease it a little bit. And just knowing that I decreased it a little bit can even further decrease it more.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that goes into a whole slew of things of like, we don't ever expect things to just go away. Like, it would be great if all my anxiety, all the depression, all the whatever just went away.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, the goal is just for the impact that it has on your daily functioning to decrease, and for the intensity and the frequency of it to decrease. Same with the imposter syndrome. When I was talking about that, I think it can be a good thing for it to be present to some degree, is that I don't ever want to be complacent in my work. I don't want to be complacent in my desire to grow as a person. So I don't know that I want imposter syndrome, and I don't want self-doubt. But I think we all experience that to a healthy level. There is a difference between experiencing those things at a healthy level versus I have gone off the deep end. Like I am way down in that hole. Because I don't think you ever want to be complacent.
No.
Because then you stop growing. And we want to keep growing. We want to be...
You stop seeing opportunity. You stop seeing how you yourself can, show up more true and authentic to yourself.
Which is the whole point of this.
Yes.
Like, it's the whole point. And I think a huge part of this is living life.
And sometimes it's just naming it.
Yes.
Just saying, I am anxious right now. Right. I am here, but I am anxious.
Right.
I am showing up, but I feel a little panic in my stomach. But
like, kudos to you for showing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where I'm talking about giving yourself grace. Like, you have to give yourself credit where credit is due. You're still showing up. You're still doing it. And that's where, when we talk about things like this, it is recognizing that these feelings are normal. That these feelings of anxiety, these feelings of vulnerability, this feeling of fear, this feeling of, am I good enough? That's normal. Like, we sit here and we feel that. Like, it is to a degree that, like, if you're not feeling it, A, I think you're lying. And B, nobody's that confident all the time. Like, if they are, that's a front. I feel like, because
it's a persona. It's something that somebody has developed to.
Right. Because I think I guess what I'm getting at is, like, the feeling of all of this imposter syndrome, of this self-doubt, of this anxiety, of this, am I enough? Am I not enough? I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to be embarrassed. That's human nature. That's normal. Nobody, I mean, yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at. Like, that's just it's a normal feeling.
It's normal to feel out of place at times, even though you deserve to be at those tables, you deserve to be in those groups. It's core to ourselves as humans to be accepted. Yes. And that is what imposter syndrome threatens, is that connectedness and that sense of community and
Worthiness.
worthiness. Yeah, that's a good word.
The sense of I belong here.
Because regardless, you do belong.
Right.
You know, you are enough. You do belong here. You have, by existing, earned a right at the table to be around people that love and support you. In and of itself, just.
And if they don't, you don't want to be at that table.
Find a different table. There are many tables.
Yeah.
Find a different table.
Find a different table, or kick some people off your table. Like I don't know. Don't let those people show up at your table if they don't want to invest in you. It's kind of my thought. Like,
yes. That's also true. So,
and I think as we get older and as we, and this will go into a whole nother podcast on healthy relationships and who's at your table. Maybe that's what we name it. Who's at your table?
That idea. Yeah.
Who's at your table? Full of good ideas today. I think, you know, you become more selective of who's there, who makes you feel wanted, who makes you feel secure. Yeah. And that's just, I guess it's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I feel like a good note to.
So we want to thank you for joining us today on this discussion about imposter syndrome and how it kind of shows up and how we've experienced it and
how we still experience it.
Yeah. And we'll continue to.
Probably on this podcast too.
This is a good example.
It's a very good example. Very good example. Still don't know what we're doing, but it's okay.
We're figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
It's so much fun sometimes.
Yeah. Open to suggestions.
Yes. So, well, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.